How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. With RuneScape Mobile now being full released, it has barely been a few hours and I've already got questions on all of my old RuneScape Mobile guides about where stuff is, how to find stuff, and basically all the confusing things that used to be about the UI. So what I'm going to do is update my RuneScape Mobile UI video, and that is what this is going to be in this video. So hopefully this video will help out anyone who does need it, and of course if you have any questions, leave a comment down below for any questions whatsoever that I may not have covered the answers to, and I will happily answer as soon as I can. If I don't get back to you straight away, don't worry, as soon as I can I will answer your questions and see if I can help you out. I am going to aim this video towards beginners as well, as there's going to be a lot of brand new players playing RuneScape Mobile. So what I'm going to do to start off with is just talk about where everything is on the screen, what you're looking at basically, and then once we've done that we'll go into more depth about the areas that I feel like need a little bit more information, and then any customization with the UI we'll talk about as well. But anyway, if you enjoy the video, if it helped you out, leave a like on it, do subscribe if you are new to the channel. If there is demand for RuneScape Mobile stuff, I will make plenty of it to keep you guys going, but otherwise, let's get into this, shall we? Alright, so this is what you're going to get when you get into the main screen of the game. As you can see on my screen now, this is pretty much what you'll be looking at. I've reset everything to default that you can customize stuff. So this is basically what you guys are going to be this is what you guys are going to have to mess with. Okay, so we're going to start in the top left corner and we'll move around in a clockwise sort of fashion, and we'll talk about stuff as you can see it. And then there's a couple of other things like menus and stuff that I want to talk about as well. So in the top left, you've got the home button. This is going to open up your main menu, I suppose. This is going to have a lot more menus in there for you to go through. We will come back and talk to this. Like I said, all the stuff that we're going to be talking about very quickly, we will then go into more depth about stuff that I feel like does sort of need a bit more attention. But don't worry about this for now. It looks very confusing for a new player especially, but it's quite easy to understand, and we will come back to this. Right, so let's close that off, and then let's move on to the next bit. The second icon along is a shop, so that is literally just going to be for buying any sort of MTX sort of stuff. And then the one after that is the chat window. If you want to click on that, it will bring down the big section for your chat, and you can see everything in here where you're talking to people, talking to your friends, and any sort of information from the game that it has given you about anything that's happening to your character, anything that is happening in game, and all sort of feedback like that. It's very, very useful. And there's some other menus just on the left hand side which will let you go through things like your private chat, friends chat, and clan chat. I'll explain what all these are a little bit later on, so don't worry, we'll come back to this too. The next one is called your task list. This will give you basically what your main goal is at the moment, whether it's going to be the active quest that you do have, or whether it's something that you can set yourself, kind of like a chain of quests. You'll probably get this introduced to you in the tutorial, so you'll probably have an idea of what this is. But if you have this big box over here saying of your task, your current task, or anything like that, you can just tap that again and it will go away. So that's that top left corner all done, nice and sorted. On the right hand side, we have a little plus button. If you click on that, that is going to extend your mini-map, and in the mini-map you can see pretty much everything that's around you. And on the top left corner you do have a compass, so if you click on the compass it will actually make you face north. If you misclick you will run off. And then on the bottom left corner of that you also have your run energy as well. When it's lit up like this, as you can see, it's like a orangey yellow color and it's all glowing. If it's like that, then that means you will be running. However, if you click it, you'll see that it will go into like a more dull color, and there's no glowing yellow basically. Your character will just walk around. The percentage is how long you have basically until you're going to have to be forced to walk, and then it will slowly regain over time. The next one down is your world map icon, which is the big sort of world and then the magnifying glass. If you click on that, you literally get the world map. And guys, if you're new to this game, it is huge. It is absolutely huge. So don't get overwhelmed by this yet. You'll get into this. You'll do this very slowly. Don't worry about it. This is a big game. Okay, so if we close out of that on the top right, the next thing we have is a home teleports icon. Now, this is basically a way to get you around the big, massive world. So if you click on that, it's going to bring up this window here called the Lodestone Network. A lodestone will let you teleport there for free, and you can do that and as much as you want, but as long as you're not in combat. We'll talk about this a little bit more again in a little while, but let's just get through the rest of what's on the UI for you guys to actually work with. Okay, so each little icon does represent a town, but that's all you need to know for now, and that will make your exploring a lot better as well. Okay, so the next 7 icons is what is called your ribbon. Now, the ribbon is probably going to be one of the most customizable sections of the UI. That's probably the only thing you can really customize to any sort of extent, and it's going to be something that you will be customizing here and there, depending on what you're doing in the game. But the first icon is, as you can probably tell, a backpack. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be your main inventory, and you do have all of your items that you can take in and out of the bank. Anything you gather, all that stuff is going to go in here. The next one down is your worn equipment. And in here, you've got quite a lot of different things. The first section is showing you what your character is wearing, worn equipment. And the next thing says your worn equipment stats, items that we will keep on death, because when you die, you do lose all but 3 items unless you have other things that are making you keep it or lose it. But most of the time, you will be going to see death himself, and you can reclaim your items that way. So don't panic about that. You're not going to lose everything like straight away. There is a failsafe to it. Don't worry too much about that. You'll learn about that when you die for the first time. The next thing is your tool belt, and on here you'll be able to find anything that you need in the game pretty much for crafting stuff, and you'll have to add stuff to this as you go through the game, but all your things like your pickaxes, your axes, anything to make a fire, all that stuff will be given to you straight away. You'll just be able to upgrade this later on. Aura management, you don't have to worry about this too much to begin with, especially as new players, but in here you get all your auras for things like skilling and combat, all that sort of stuff, as you can see, and this basically gives you buffs and benefit. The next one down is your currency pouch. If you click on this, it will open up a big massive window that says currencies. There's a lot of different currencies in this game. Don't have to worry about it too much. You will learn about this as you go through the game. Nothing in here is all that important except for the oddments, which is these nuts and bolts down here. You will get these as you do your daily treasure hunt and stuff. We'll talk about that again in a little while once we get on the home menu bit. That will be a little bit more easy to understand when you get to that point. All of the currencies are going to be stuff that you will figure out as you go through the game, because you won't have them all unlocked straight away anyway. So don't panic. There's a lot there. There definitely is. But you'll figure them out as you get there. It's not something that will be too much stress for you to work out. Okay, moving to the next one is going to be your skills. If you click on that, it'll look like a bit of a bar graph. You can see all of the different skills in the game. Yes, there is a lot of skills, so guys, that's a good thing. There's a lot of content for you guys to get through, so absolutely awesome. All these skills do individual things. They all unlock different things in the game for you. Definitely worth sort of leveling all of these up as a well-rounded account, but we'll talk about that again, and probably in a different video for this one, seeing as it's going to be probably one more for like a beginner's guide as well anyway. But that's your skills, and then the next one down is going to be your spell book. This will let you do all your magic spells and teleports, all that good stuff. Then you've got your ancient curses. For you, it'll probably just say prayers if you're a new player. But anyone who's using PC normally have all this unlocked, and then come to the mobile platform, your ancient curses are here in this. But normally it will just say prayers. You can use this to help yourself in fighting, sometimes in skilling as well. So don't worry, you'll learn about this as well during the tutorial. So that's absolutely awesome. The next thing is going to be your abilities. In here, you'll have all of your melee abilities, all of your ranged abilities, all of your magic abilities, and then defense abilities. You will learn about combat later on, don't worry about that, but basically that's where all that is, and you can have a good scroll through it. The next one down is about drops and stuff. You can completely ignore this, don't worry about that for now. You're not going to need it. You're not going to be focusing on that too much, tracking drops and stuff. Just focus on learning all the basics. Okay, so that's the ribbon on the right hand side done. This is customizable on the icons that are there. We'll talk about how to do that once we get to the home menu, because everything is in that home menu. Like I keep saying, we're going to keep going back to that home menu because that's going to be important. So now looking in the middle of the screen at the bottom, we have the first icon that says 350. This is actually empty. This is for the summoning skill, and it's like a little bit of a wolf head. But that is a skill in the game, and you can get pets, you can get things to help you out with fighting, you can get things to help you out with skilling. It's very, very useful. But you have summoning points that organizes all of that, and you'll learn about this as you unlock summoning. But that's what that circle is there. The next one, which has only got 111 points in it, this is your prayer points, and you will use this basically as you activate a prayer. For example, if I activate one now, you'll notice that that will slowly start draining down. You can fill this back up by doing certain things in the game. Again, you will learn about this. Don't panic too much, just so you know what it is. Obviously, the next one kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? There's a picture of a heart, and then there's a number, and then there's a big red bar. Most of you guys will know this is your health, this is your life points, so that's absolutely awesome. That's kind of all you need to know about that one. The one below it is your adrenaline. When you figure out combat, when you get introduced to combat, you will know that you need adrenaline to use certain abilities. And as you use basic abilities, this will build up your adrenaline. Threshold abilities will cost adrenaline, and then ultimate abilities will cost all of your adrenaline. You will learn more about this. I'll probably make a combat guide as well, so don't worry about it too much. But that is there, and then there's a couple more things about that I want to talk about, but that'll be covered in the confusing section towards the end of the video. So stick around for that as well. On the left hand side, okay, we're nearly done. On the left hand side, you have a sword and a shield, and then a settings wheel. This whole left corner is your combat settings. This is where you toggle combat. This is where you access all your combat stuff. So if we close off the inventory there, so you've just got a bit of extra space, if you press that shield on the left hand side, that is going to bring up your action bar. Now on here you have 14 circles that have popped up on the screen, and these are all slots to put in abilities, to put in food, to put in items, anything that you need access to during combat. You can put these in here. As you can see, I have a teleport on there. I have some abilities that are darkened at the moment because I don't have any weapons equipped. They are darkened and I can't use them. Other than that, you can actually click on the settings wheel as well, and this is where combat is going to get a little bit confusing. It opens up this window here. Now, on this window, this is where you basically slot your action bars. You have a lot of action bars. As you can see here, there's, I believe, 13 of them. And you also have a revolution bar at the bottom. I will talk about this in a combat guide. I will make a combat guide for you guys because it is super confusing. And it's something that you will learn through the game, though, so don't panic too much. You're not going to get completely forgotten about from Jagex. They will help you out on the basics, so that's absolutely awesome. All you need to know here is your abilities tab at the top is all the abilities that we talked about earlier. You can just literally drag these off and put them onto the action bar, and that's basically how you do that. Spells is the exact same thing as before. Spells, teleports, all that sort of stuff, and then there's a section for prayers as well. This whole screen that you're looking at now is to set up your combat stuff. So until you get to combat, you don't even need to think about this. Don't worry about it too much. It's absolutely fine. So let's close it off, and that's pretty much it. That is pretty much everything that we need to talk about on the UI for now. We'll talk about all those little icons near the combat and stuff a little bit more in depth when we get there. There's a few things I will cover in this video as well, but like I say, I will make a combat guide. That is the base, like, immediate thing that you're looking at in this game for the UI. So with that out of the way, let's break it down a little bit more, and let's get into depth about stuff so you can find stuff that you might want to find, and so you can understand what basically is going on a little bit more in certain sections. This video could be quite long, so I will put timestamps for each section, and if there's a specific section you're interested in knowing about, because maybe some of it is obvious to you and some of it isn't, you can go down to the description. There will be timestamps there for you, so maybe that'd be worth you looking at now. Okay, so we're going to start again on the home page because this is going to be very important for you guys to sort of know where things is and understand what you're looking at in here. So let's click on the house button again, and that will open up this here. There's a lot going on here, and I'm sure you guys are pretty confused about what's happening, especially if you're a new player. Of course you are. But I'll quickly go over what's on this screen as well, and then we'll talk about a little bit more in depth about stuff. This section could go on for a little while, so keep that in mind. If you don't need this section, then do skip ahead to the next bit. There will be timestamps, like I said, in the description. Make sure you use those, because there could be stuff in this video that is very useful for you to know. So again, we'll just start at the top left, and we'll work our way down, and then we'll move our way across as well. So in the very top left, we have what is all probably, most of you are probably aware this is going to be a menu button. So a menu within a menu. Absolutely awesome. Let's click on that, and it brings up a few things here. Rune metrics. New players, you guys are probably not going to need to worry about this to begin with. I rarely use this as a experienced player as well, so don't panic too much. You don't have to think it, you don't have to even worry about this, to be fair. Rune metrics will basically open up a setting where you can keep track of things like your damage and your efficiency in the game and all that sort of stuff. Don't worry about being efficient. You're a new player, not important. The next thing is going to be worlds. Now, worlds in this game, you've probably already selected one when you joined. However, worlds will open up basically think of it like servers, because that's what they are. You're going to be able to see how many players are on a world, the location of the world as well to you, and then on the right hand side you can see whether it's free or members. These mean a couple of things. So for example, if you look at activity, you can see where it says mini games free. This is a free world, and it was all dedicated to doing the mini games on the free world as well. So there's a lot of different activities. For example, World 23 says Wars Retreat PVM Hub. That is basically saying that this is the dedicated world to everyone who wants to use Wars Retreat, the PVM Hub, all that sort of stuff. If you're only a free player, you'll have to find a free world, but don't worry about it. It doesn't make much difference, and most of you guys starting will probably be free players. The free-to-play game is absolutely huge still. You still have a lot of stuff to do, so don't feel like you're missing out by not being a member straight away, because even as a member, you'll probably be doing a lot of free stuff early on. Alright, so back in the menu button, the next item down is your ribbon. This is the ribbon settings. This is what will let you customize the ribbon that we talked about earlier. We will come back to this. Don't panic. It will be easy to understand later on. Next is the controls. If you click on controls, it will basically give you a guide. It's like a short guide of all the controls on the thing. This might be useful for a lot of you people, seeing as it will tell you how to interact with the game, all the camera, the interfaces, the social, basically kind of like what I'm telling you now pretty much. But we'll go over most of this stuff. So if you need a recap, then this is probably a pretty good place to come for a quick recap. The icon down is going to be problem, where you can report any problems with the game, any bugs, that sort of stuff. And then the next one is self-explanatory, is log out. So if you're tired of the game, you need a break, click the log out button, but make sure you come back. We don't want you to stop playing altogether. Make sure you come back. Let's move on to the next bit. We're going to look at these circle icons here. The first one is a treasure hunter chest. If you want to click on that, you will open up the mini game, I guess you could call it, the MTX game, or basically just the treasure hunter. The treasure hunter is a game that you will get keys for throughout playing the game. You will also get one key if you're a free player each and every day, and if you're a member, you'll get 2 keys as well. You can open these treasure chests to receive rewards, and there will be different promotions in here all the time. On the top right, you can see it says buy keys. Yes, this game does have some form of pay to win in it. However, the pay to win doesn't really affect other players anyway, so it's not a big issue, and it is kind of allowed that way as well. But if you want to boost your account by buying loads of keys, you can do that. I wouldn't recommend it because it is very expensive and it is kind of not really worth it. Leveling up in this game doesn't take as long as it did back in the day. But buying keys is definitely something you can do. You will get rewards like experience. Sometimes you can get a little bit of money. You can get some items out of it as well. Nothing absolutely game breaking, but yeah, you can definitely get experience and stuff through this. This is going to be very useful for you to do as a normal player every single day, just using your normal keys, because it will unlock bonus experience, help you leveling up quicker and stuff. But like I say, if you want to buy keys, the option is definitely there. The next one down is a mask, and when you click on this, this will open up your customizations. This is what lets you sort of change how your character looks. In this game, they call it Fashionscape, right? Fashionscape is very important in this game, and it basically changes like an override to what your character looks like. You can collect lots of different stuff, unlock lots of different things as well, all these different sort of costumes, overrides, all that sort of stuff, and you can apply these without actually having to equip anything. So if you don't have anything on, you can press apply, and now my character will look like that on the right hand side no matter what. That's how he will look. On the animations, again, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do. So for example, if we go down to things like telekinetic woodcutting, so if we click on that, we'll get a little animation thing, and he will do a different animation for woodcutting instead of the normal one where he swings an axe. So these are all different things that you can unlock as well. Don't worry about these too much, but now you know where they are. The next tab is appearance, so you can change things like your hairstyle, your beards, all that sort of stuff. You would have done this in character creation. Next, you have titles. Titles in this game don't do anything for you as a benefit. They are just there to look good. They are there to work as a cosmetic. They're there as achievements to work towards and unlock as well. The next section is pets. You guys as new players will not have anything in here yet, I assume. You may have like one little thing that they give you in the tutorial if they do decide to add one of those. When you click on it, it will basically bring this up. You can call the pet and it will just follow you around in game. Otherwise, you will learn things here about summoning, about overriding familiars, that sort of stuff. You will learn that a bit later on, so don't worry about it too much right now. The next one down is a shopping trolley. So this is going to be basically where you can access things like the store, the marketplace, things like membership, all that sort of stuff. It's basically like a hub for the store. Okay, so that's all the icons on the left-hand side covered. Let's go along those icons at the top, as it's going to be very, very quick to talk about. The first one is your coin pouch. This will show you how much money you are currently carrying in the game. I have 41 million at the moment. That's why it says 41M. It is not a weird currency. It is just gold pieces in this game. And I have 41 million of those, which is why the M is there. The next one is rune coins. This is the currency that you would use to buy stuff from the Solomon's General Store. The next one is showing you how many treasure hunter keys you have left, and the one after that is showing you how many bonds you have in your bond pouch. The bonds are used to buy in-game membership and a few other things as well, but you can also technically buy these from JGEX and sell them on the Grand Exchange to other players if you want to boost your income a little bit as well. But again, I would recommend you don't do that, especially as a brand new player. If you buy loads of gold at the beginning of the game, you are going to ruin your experience, in my opinion. But you know what, guys, you do you. If you want to buy bonds, no, you're not going to get judged for it. It's absolutely fine. The next thing down, you have 3 big boxes that say powers, hero, and adventures. The first one that says powers is just going to open up your combat section that we were at before. This is going to be something that we will come back to when we get to the combat section, but all you need to know now is the powers opens up this window. The next section is hero, so if we click on that, it will bring up this bit here that says summary, skills, loadout, achievements. Now, basically, this is going to show you a summary of your character. Next, you have skills, which brings up all the different skills in the game. And if you click on these icons on the left hand side, it does open what they call a skill guide. This will basically tell you for what level you are at the top where it says crafting 99, and then on the right hand side it will tell you what items you can interact with at what level. So you can see that all these number ones are saying at level 1 I can craft those items. The loadout is basically just going to give you a big window of where your one equipment is. Your stats and stuff, when you've got weapons equipped, these will change slightly for your damage bonuses, your accuracy, all that sort of stuff, and then a backpack with your inventory as well. You can access this a little bit of an easier way as well on the ribbon. If you go on the main screen to the one equipment helmet and click on one equipment stats, that will open up your loadout as well. The price checker, all it does is opens up another window where you can put items in and take them out, and it'll tell you how much the item is worth. You can see a coin pouch at the bottom, which tells you how much money you have, and then all the other stuff in the middle. Don't worry about it too much. You will learn what this all means at some point, and you will learn it as you go through the game. You don't have to know what it is right now, but you know where it is. Next is your achievements. This section is basically just going to keep track of all the things that you've done in the game, tell you whether you've done it or not, and give you a list of achievements that you can work towards if you want to do so. Now it's time to move on to the Adventures tab. In the Adventures tab, you have Featured, which is going to be all things like the latest content, and then the next thing is going to be your quest list. On here, there is a lot of quests, guys, and this game doesn't do quests like every other MMORPG, where you're basically running from one NPC, going to kill 10 wolves, and then going back to the NPC. Each quest has its own story in it, and it will have its own sort of narrative to that as well, and they'll all be completely different. Some of them have series where you'll start going on one quest that will lead into another one and lead into another one, and all quests will give you a reward as well. If I press rewards on this one, it will tell me that I get 300 crafting experience, an antique lamp, some swanky boots, and I'll get 2 treasure hunter keys as well. Of course, the rewards are different for every quest. Some of them are better than others, and as you do higher level quests, as this is just a beginner's one, you will get more experience from doing so as well. The next tab is your challenges tab. You will get taught about this during the tutorial or in the little bit of extra tutorial once you're off of the tutorial island. The next one is mini games. This will tell you when all the mini games in the game are going to be ready. You will learn about the mini games as you play the game. Don't panic about this too much. There's a lot of them. As a new player, you will figure out mini games. It's absolutely fine. Don't panic. Don't get stressed out. Next is beasts. Now in this game, there's a lot of bosses. End game bossing is like pretty much what makes up the end game in this game for most people in the game anyway, and this is the big list of bosses that are currently available in the game. You can click on these to get information about them. For example, if I click on the giant mole, which is a very old boss, you can see there is a collection log which will tell you what items you can get from the mole. Like I said, it is an old boss. Let's go to one that's a little bit more new, shall we? Let's go to Araxi. So Araxi is a big massive spider. If you go to their collection log, you can see there's a lot more items there. It'll keep track of what you've got so far. These are all the rare drops from the boss, and then you can also click teleport to teleport yourself to the closest lodestone to that place. On the screen, it will keep track of any information about the boss in the big section where it says Araxi, and also you've got your kill timer, you've got how many times you've killed it, and it'll tell you the combat level of the boss as well. The next section is the activity tracker. This is that little flag icon that I told you about earlier, or the map icon. On here, it will tell you what your current activity is, what your task is. You can set a path as well on here, and it will tell you basically what you're working towards in the game. It's a good little way to keep track of where your character is and have things to work towards. Alright, so that is it for this home bit. Guys, I know that was stupidly long, ridiculously long, but hopefully it was in depth enough for you guys to know what you're looking at now, and hopefully it is a little bit less confusing. If you are a new player and a lot of the stuff didn't make sense, don't panic. As you learn the game, it will start making more sense about what I was talking about. Now that you know the knowledge of where stuff is, you'll be able to come back and find it. When you hear about stuff, you'll be like, oh, I know what that is. I know where to find that. And that's what I was hoping for with this. Okay, so with that big massive section out of the way, there's a few more things that I want to talk about, and they're probably going to be pretty important things. So what we're going to talk about now is the ribbon, how to customize it, and what you should be doing with it and when you should change it. And then also the last thing I'm going to talk about is just how to work the combat a little bit. I'm not going to talk about actually doing the combat, but just how to move the icons, how to add food and items to your inventory slots, and then also how to just basically toggle the lock on the action bar. These will be important. A lot of people get confused by this. I had a lot of comments on it. So let's talk about that now. So we're going to start off by talking about the ribbon. Now the ribbon is going to be fairly simple. Like I said, there is 7 icons on the right hand side, and these can be customized slightly, but what you're going to want to do is go to the home button again, into the menu button again, and then onto the ribbon. Now there used to be a lot more icons in here to customize around with. I don't know whether these are going to be added on again later on or not, or whether they've been just moved to other places, but In here you can customize the ribbon, and it would make sense to me if they do eventually add these back on, so I would keep that in mind. They could add things like the price checker and stuff in here eventually, but to know how to customize it will be super useful. It says here ribbon bar displays up to 8 icons, so there's 7 on there as default. You can add an 8th, so what I would suggest you do, in all honesty, is take off the drops one, because you're not going to need that for a while, and to be fair, you probably won't need it at all. Take that one off, and I would add your quest one, absolutely, and I would also add your summoning one as well. If you don't have summoning straight away, of course you won't. You can add the notes one if you wanted to. You probably won't need to use this too much. It is useful if you need to take down notes, so you can take that summoning one off and put that on. But I would suggest having the summoning one on anyway, and once you've got into the game and unlock summoning, these icons that you've got here, you'll pretty much not need to change these at all. However, if they do add more in here, keep in mind that you may want to change them around. If you need to use notes, you can add that on. If you want to keep track of drops, you can add that on as well. So the ribbon's fairly simple at the moment because of the fact that they've removed most of the icons that used to be there. That's all you need to know for this. If they add more icons, then perfect, you know how to customize the ribbon. Okay, so last thing that I want to talk about in this video is going to be the combat and just the basic things about it. So let's open that back up again by pressing the sword and the shield. That'll pop open this with your action bar again, and you get a few icons that we didn't talk about before. So on the left hand side, starting at the top, you have tap to find target. This is target cycling, and anything on your screen that you can attack, if you press this, it will find one for you. For me, it says could not find a valid target as there's nothing around that I can attack. But if there was something, you could press that and it will go through it, kind of like tab targeting in most MMOs. The next one down is the 2 arrows, like a circle. If you click on that, it will basically flip your action bar around, so your left hand side will go to the right, and you can see that it goes exactly just like that. Pressing it again will bring it back over, nice and easy. This could be useful if you want to have the inventory open, as it does take over one side of your screen and you still want access to the other side. You can press that little rotation button and that will bring that over for you, and now you have access to that. So you can press it again and it will go back. The next thing is the number 13. This is to go through all your action bars. As you can see, all 13 come up down here, and you can change these on the go. You can just go through these. Eventually, you may want to use this for endgame content, but for now, don't stress about it. It's not a problem. The next one is the settings wheel. You can actually go into this, like I said earlier, and start dragging abilities onto your action bar. You can drag them off of the main screen here on the left hand side and put them on. So if I take this and put it over top of my teleport will disappear. As you can see, that is now gone. So you can basically customize your action bars however you want them. However, at the bottom, as I mentioned before, there is a revolution bar. Revolution in this game basically fires off abilities for you itself. It makes it so you don't have to just constantly put in input. And on mobile, this is going to be super useful. If you click on this, it'll put on the revolution bar, and anything on that bottom bar now at the bottom will be used automatically. So when we come out of this now, you can see at the bottom, we have that little action bar right there underneath the adrenaline and the health. That will be automatically fired whenever I attack a target. It will automatically go off one after the other. As soon as the cooldowns are ready, it will use that ability, and it will always start at the beginning to check which ability is available first. If there's a cooldown ready, it will use that, and it will go back and get things that have come back off cooldown. This is super useful for mobile, so I do recommend you have this active and sort of get used to that. You can look up revolution bar guides online on the RuneScape wiki. I would suggest you do that as well. The next thing is going to be, if you hold tap on the settings wheel, you'll see it comes up with a few options. It says set up action bars, combat settings, action bar settings, toggle action bar lock, and auto setup action bars. The auto setup action bars is going to automatically set up your action bars, as you can imagine. It'll probably give you a basic version of each style. If you've got loads set up already, I would suggest you don't do that. The top one that says setup action bars will open the same window as it normally does, just that we looked at before. The second one is the combat settings, which will open the settings menu. You can go through this and you can go change your combat settings from revolution to full manual, all that sort of stuff. The action bar settings will open the same thing, except for instead of combat settings, it'll be the action bar settings, so you can bind the action bars, that sort of thing. And then the last one, which says toggle action bar lock, this will stop you from being able to move items on and off of this bar. This is one of the most confusing things for mobile players. If you have this locked, which is now it is locked, you cannot take things off, you cannot put things on, and it will be impossible for you to take some food out of your inventory, for example, and drag that onto your bar. So if you're trying to do that, you can see there's a little lock icon inside the settings wheel now. You want to hold tap on that, make sure you toggle action bar lock off, and then you can drag anything around. You can customize it however you want. You can drag things from your inventory straight onto there. That is how you do it. If you wanted food on your action bar, as long as it's in your inventory, you can drag it straight there. Same goes with items like weapons and shields, all that sort of stuff. And then the very last final thing is, if you hold tap on the shield, you can toggle the combat mode, you can toggle the combat HUD, and you can also toggle weapon sheathing. So if you have the combat HUD toggled off, you can see the health, adrenaline, and all that sort of stuff disappears. It'll just sort of clear up your screen a little bit more, say if you didn't want to combat at all. And then if you toggle it again, it does come back on. And then the last thing, the toggle weapon sheathing, is I don't have a weapon at the moment, but you can basically see how my hands sort of came out of my pockets, just like that. If you have weapons on, he'll put them away. If you have weapon, and then if you toggle it again, it'll take them out. That's basically all that is. But that's all I really want to talk about for the combat side of it. So hopefully that makes sense. You know your sort of basics. You know where to find and slot your abilities. You know how to open it. You know where the bars and stuff are, where you got access to that. So hopefully that is enough for the basics of you for that. If you have any questions, of course, leave it in the comments down below. I will answer as many as I can. There's one last section that I want to talk about in this video, and that is going to be just a couple of confusing things, literally just two things with the UI that gets confusing. So the auto retaliate in this game means if someone attacks you, your character will automatically attack back. It's kind of useful, especially on mobile, because if you don't want to be having to click on absolutely everything, if you want to AFK a little bit, it is very useful. Now, where the adrenaline bar is, you see there's a single sword there. That is auto retaliate turned off. If there was two swords, it will be turned on. So all you do is tap on that sword, right? And that'll turn auto retaliate on. It sometimes doesn't tap exactly right. You will have to tap just to the right of it, but it does seem like they've got it a little bit more accurate at the moment. What I would suggest you do is tap between the sword and the 0% number, and then that should toggle it for you nice and easily. The last thing that I want to mention, which is something that I get asked a lot in comments, is where is the price checker? We talked about this, we know where it is, but a little bit of a test. Go to the worn equipment, go to worn equipment stats, scroll down, there is your price checker. That is there. You can also withdraw money from there if you want to take some out for some reason. You can get your price checker, exactly go in there, put any items in and price check, see how much it is worth on the Grand Exchange. But that is it. That's all I wanted to talk about for the UI. You have been covered by most of it. I have gone a little bit in depth, but I hope that has helped you guys out. There is timestamps, like I said in the description, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. It's definitely worth you just going to the stuff that you feel like you need to cover. And if you have to come back to this video and you are thinking, right, and I'm confused about this bit, I can then click on the timestamp, go straight to it, and I hope it's helped. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it from me today. I really hope this video has helped. If it has, do leave a like on it. Do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Any questions, like I said, any at all, put them in the comments down below. I will answer them as fast as I can and as soon as I can. Usually, if I'm awake, I will check my comments every like 5-10 minutes or something if I can, unless I'm having dinner or something. But otherwise, I will try my best to make sure I get back to you as quick as possible. But anyway, like I said, that is all I have for you today. So thank you all so much for watching. I really hope it did help, and I'll see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.